Audacity. All right, clap sync Dylan.
Clap sync Niles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play Pause Rewind, our 117th episode. We're on time. We did it. We didn't break schedule
Yeah.
for once. But we're recording early actually because there's some travel in the near future. But Niles, how have you been the last 2 weeks? And I guess how do you predict you will be over the course of the next week?
Let's see. That's a good question. Been good. Been good these last 2 weeks. It's been busy. Lots of moving parts and just getting ready for travel. Yeah, that's me. And so I think in this next week, I'm anticipating first week will just be kind of like lots of stress of just getting everything in place so I could take my vacation. But then when I'm on vacation, I'm going to be very happy. It's going to be wonderful. I can't think. I'm in that phase right now where I can't think about anything else. I'm having trouble focusing on work, but doing what I can to get by, and not pay attention to the political drama of today, which is never ending. How are you, Dylan? And how do you expect you will be in this next week?
I'm hanging on by a thread. I'm so tired and so stretched thin, but
yeah, I feel that.
But and how do I predict I'll be in the week's time? About the same, honestly. But
yeah.
But there's only so much I can do. It really is, one battle after another.
But yeah,
which is the movie we're talking about.
That is the theme
week.
of our current era. It's just one thing after another, never ends.
Yes, but the latest film from writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another, follows stoner dad Bob Ferguson as he tries to save his daughter Willa from a shady government agent, a figure from Bob's past and his revolutionary days.
Ooh.
A loose adaptation of the novel Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Chase Infinity, Tiana Taylor, and Regina Hall. Niles, what are your initial non-spoiler thoughts on One Battle After Another?
I was so impressed by this film. Just very, very impressed. I mean, it's a modern masterpiece, in my opinion. I think this film is excellent. It's complicated, it's nuanced, it's honest. It doesn't slow down for nothing or nobody. It doesn't pull any punches. It's kind of very upfront and direct on what it's trying to tell you in the story. It doesn't it just hits the ground running. It doesn't dawdle. It's one of those special movies where nearly all the fat has been trimmed off and you're just left with the good parts, the best parts, the chewy parts, like the stuff that you want, the really good stuff. And I think this film is just really just excellent. It's just kind of, like I said, a modern masterpiece that really it forces you to grapple with the brutal realities of a lot of modern America, but with these very real realities of like revolution. What does that look like? Political extremism, the abuses of the American military, the abuses within the immigration system in America. And it's there's so many layers. There's so much going on in this movie, but it's all so well executed. It's so well communicated. Like you don't really miss a beat through this movie. Like everything kind of just, I think, is driven home really well. And even though whenever I see Leonardo DiCaprio on screen, I just see the actor. I'm just like, that's Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't really see the character he's playing. All that aside, that's just really kind of me. I think every part in this movie is well cast. Everything is extremely well performed, and I was really excited to see Regina Hall here too. I love her. I think she's fantastic, and like as soon as she was on screen, I'm like, she's from Scary Movie. I recognize her. Like, she's awesome. I love her. But what about you, Dylan? What are some of your initial thoughts on One Battle After Another?
Yeah, it's early to say this, I guess, but I think one of my favorite films of the year so far. This was fantastic. It's a great action thriller as well. Has a
Hmm.
lot of action, very funny, and it contains some pretty pointed and relevant political commentary. I would say, in a lot of ways, the politics of this movie are timeless, but they also feel very relevant to right now.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. I'd also kudos to the movie because it clocks in at over 2 hours and 40 minutes and it doesn't drag even for a second. Like it's so fast paced and engaging throughout. Performances all around excellent stuff. Sean Penn is so menacing and just
Yeah.
he plays such a loser monster. DiCaprio's great. Del Toro, Chase Infinity was a standout for me
Yeah.
too. Very new in the industry, and she's gonna be huge. I would say in the future.
Yeah.
She's great in this. Um, but yeah, I'd say must see in theaters for me if you have the option to go to the IMAX for the 70 millimeter
Mm.
screening. I've heard that is pretty amazing. So hopefully I get to see it in IMAX before it leaves. But it's just kind of got everything you want to see in a movie like this. Like this is kind of what movies are about.
Yeah, it's a rich story. There's a lot going on. It feels relevant to your time. Like everything that you just
Hmm.
said, and there's a lot to dissect in this movie too. Like I think I could even rewatch this movie and have a whole new kind of like takeaways walking away from it and being like,
Hmm.
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. Like there's layers upon layers within this movie, and that's what a great movie is. And there's, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, let's dive into some spoilers, and let's start by talking about politics. Something we do all the time.
Yeah, yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a political episode on it, and I think the movie itself, it's called One Battle After Another, and right from the get-go kind of
Hmm.
hits you over the head with these themes really quickly. Revolution and political extremism, I would say the movie does not shy away
Hmm.
from these themes, these topics. It's very frank, it's honest, and it's open about these two topics. It really
Hmm.
does kind of want you as the audience to grapple with what is revolution, what is political extremism. um, to me, I feel like the main message of this movie, I mean, there's a lot of messages, but if there's one that I really pulled away from it, it's really about how
Hmm.
revolutions never end. It's literally in the title, one battle after another. Like it's this never ending war, really, as like revolutions go.
Hmm.
They just kind of keep going and literally revolution, 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 you know. It's like a wheel
Yeah.
turning. And because I
Uh
think
huh.
as a revolutionary, I don't claim to be one. I've never claimed to be a revolutionary, but if you are one, you know, I would imagine that you want to create some kind of lasting systemic change in this country. And that's not going to
Hmm.
happen from you just pulling off one heist. It's like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
The opening scene of this movie is our main group of revolutionaries, the French 75, and they are
Hmm.
freeing this group of immigrants in a detention center on the border of California and Mexico. And it's this great
Hmm.
sequence, so awesome. There's so much going on here, and everyone's got their parts nailed down. Um, there are these
Hmm.
revolutionaries who are like, no, we're going to actually take action. They free the immigrants, they imprison the military in the center. And it's great. It's a fun sequence, but that one act of freeing them, it's not going to solve America's immigration issues
Hmm.
overnight. It's not going to like dramatically change or alter the political landscape of America. Like, if you want lasting change in America, there's a lot of effort that you need to put in, because there's a lot that needs to
Yeah.
change, because it's system upon system upon system.
Right. Yeah. I think two things before we go on too. It's like one, the idea of revolution never ending, I think that is true, but it's not just for revolution, and it's not due to the nature of revolution necessarily. It's like any sort of systemic change, like in America, we are seeing civil rights being rolled back like in real time, right? Like that is one battle after another as well, because there are people fighting against it and fighting to push back any progress that has been made. So like the fight for a better future is constant and ongoing, right? And to your point about like you're not going to solve it by one heist or one like liberation operation for like a detention center, right? Of course not. It's like that action is necessary, but it's not the be all end all. Like you need to have that. You also need to have people fighting for better policy and people who are speaking publicly and creating like collective action and stuff like that. So it's like in order to enact, and we'll come back to this, but in order to enact that systemic change, it needs to be like pushed on a multi-front sort of system, and not just like in one of the things they do, it's like a bank heist. It's like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
The immigration thing made sense, and the bank heist is like, what are you doing?
Yeah, we need the funds, I guess. And I think it also speaks to like how
I guess that, yeah.
yeah, like revolutionaries, they don't change over time too, or they do change. Bob, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he starts off as this revolutionary. He participates in that opening heist and everything, and he's very active on the front lines here of the French 75. But then him and Perfida, they have a baby, Willa, and he kind of puts the revolution on hold to raise his daughter, and that's kind of like his priority now. And then when members of the French 75 start to fall off and fall, he has to escape and kind of go into their own version of witness protection. Very anonymous people. They got like a dead person social security card and everything, and he's putting his family first. The revolution never went away. People are still fighting for change, but Bob completely fell off the wagon, and people are still fighting, and he's just there now raising his kid. And then you have on the flip side Perfida Beverly Hills, the mother of Willa.
Perfidia,
thank you.
Beverly Hills.
Thank you. She doesn't stop her work as a revolutionary after her daughter's born. She, if anything, she goes further. Like she does the bank heist with everybody, and she's committed to bringing her revolutionary ideas to life, to that vision of the French 75, like actually creating some lasting change. But she pays the ultimate price for this decision because she gets caught in the bank heist, and it's ultimately her freedom and the freedom of her friends and family. Like everything has to change for them. I mean, they were already kind of committed to being like underground and everything, but like now they have to be even more underground, or they've lost all freedom altogether because they're in jail,
or dead. Some of them get killed.
Yeah, or dead
in Lockjaw's crackdown. Yeah, because she does end up getting captured and kind of informing to Lockjaw on like their whereabouts and what they're doing. Because she's forced to, and we'll come back to her towards the end of the episode. But yeah, you want to talk about sort of the rabbit hole elements of extreme politics?
Yeah, of course. And I think, one of the other things that this movie's trying to communicate is how political extremism, no matter where you are, like right, left, whatever, who cares? When you're kind of like in that extremist mentality, it's like a rabbit hole. Once you dive in, it's really hard to pull yourself back out and kind of regain some perspective or change your entire opinions altogether. Like Perfidia, she could not pull herself out of this revolution that she started. She was just all in from the get-go, and that really kind of caused her to lose her entire identity and everything she held dear, because once she ratted on everybody and was kind of cleared to like live a civilian life, she ran. She left the country and she had to start a whole new life because she was so committed to her political extremist ideas, I suppose. Lockjaw, similarly, he really wanted to be a part of this group called the Christmas Adventurers, which we'll get to in a minute. But he really wanted it so badly that he kind of went over the line in a lot of ways to protect his reputation and to ensure his position in this
Mm-hmm.
political group. It was just that important to him. But it's just because he went down this rabbit hole of these political ideas. And you can say that about the French 75, like all the remaining members who were not like, ousted or killed or put in jail, like these ones who still existed later on in the
Mm-hmm.
movie. They're living incredibly isolated lives. They've given up so much for so little, and it's all because of their like political ideas and how much they believe in them. And it's just like, I think this movie does a
Yeah.
great job of illustrating, like, once you start down this path, it's really hard to like get back out of it. It's like that.
Yeah. And that and that's not a statement on like the morality of your extremism either. It's just like inherent in it. Like obviously the French 75, what they're fighting for is morally just, like they're more in favor of open borders and freeing immigrants and stuff like that, whereas Lockjaw is trying to get into the like secret club for mega racists,
Yeah.
right? But I think the point you're making and that the film is illustrating as well, it's like it's it's not necessarily that you need to change your mind. It's just like if you're going to be part of a cause like that, like a militant cause, you're in. Like you can,
Yeah.
unless you win, unless you like definitively win,
Mhm.
that's your life forever.
Yeah,
And it's a commitment.
it is a commitment. And one question that I was like, I think this movie forced me to think about it a lot. I don't know about you, Dylan, but
Mm-hmm.
when on this topic of revolutionaries, it's like when you are one, when you're like fully committed to this bit,
Mm-hmm.
are you always one? Like, when do you give up this
Mm-hmm.
quest for change? Do you ever give it up? Is this always part of your life? And I think a lot of those French
Mm-hmm.
75 members, they never stopped fighting. They kept going, even though they lost so many friends. But ultimately, that decision, like we were just talking about, they gave up, they, they committed. They committed to this mission, to
Mm-hmm.
these ideas, and they gave up a lot of liberties of
Yeah.
everyday life to continue that fight and keep moving on with it. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when do you necessarily throw in the towel and say, no, I think I'm just going to kind of fall in line with everybody else and not try and revolutionize things.
Yeah, I think like going back to what we just talked about, like if you're full on violent revolutionary, like I think you're kind of like in it till the end of the line, whatever
Yeah.
that end is. But on a more like moderate level, I think we've talked about this on the show before, but I've definitely talked about it. It's like in terms of social movements and like progressivism and growing the scale of those movements, I've talked about like that's why it's not the only reason why, but it is part of why it's important to get more people on board and to like push the cause forward, because no one can mentally like or emotionally afford to be always on, like
Hmm.
always active fighting for something that feels in the moment like a lost cause, which is where the benefit of having like mass scale comes in. It's like, okay, you can tap out for a little bit. You just had a kid, take care of the kid. We'll see you next month. Like it's
Hmm.
gonna be okay. But when you're at a stage where where they're like a small little group, it's like you do have to be careful all the time, always on, always ready to go, because you never know when things are going to change drastically, and when they do, you're the people that are being hunted down.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that they're constantly in like this position that's impossible. It's an impossible decision point where it's like you have to grapple with
Mm-hmm.
all these different politically fraught, or all these different things
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously, and it's these battles, they just truly never end, really. Like, I think on one side you have Bob, who's like, he seemed perfectly content to be a paranoid stoner dad sitting on the couch at home, just getting stoned all the time and kind of
Mm-hmm.
making sure that Willa has a nice life and she's growing up. But on the flip side, you have Perfidia, who's kind of maintained this revolutionary spirit even when she was incarcerated. And then ultimately she
Mm-hmm.
had to abandon her country and her family. But I feel like she probably still has that fighting spirit, that warrior spirit that they were talking about in the movie in
Mm-hmm.
her. But it's like,
Yeah.
it is kind of this impossible question to answer. Like, what's that
Mm-hmm.
balancing point?
I think it also ties back to what we talked about in our episodes on Andor, when we touched on like going through that show's second season.
Mm-hmm.
We see the Rebel Alliance go from the Revolutionary era, where it's just heist and terrorist attacks, basically carried out by Luthen, Clea, and them,
Mm-hmm.
all the way into a fully formed rebellion with like a leadership structure and clear objectives. Like they have to eventually scale up in order to make that systemic change. The danger, though, is in scaling up and bringing more people on board, the revolution risks liberalizing and losing the radical politics that like gave it the teeth to inspire change in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we see that all the time, just even in American politics, where once a movement leaves the protest in the streets and goes into the halls of Congress, like it often does get watered down to a point where it's no longer effective at fixing the problem, you know.
Yeah.
But that being said, like you do have to build the scale eventually, otherwise, like you're never going to take things to the next step.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the Star Wars there because I was thinking about the rebellion when we were just talking about all the revolutionaries, and you're totally right. It's not about Luke blowing up the Death Star or anything like that. It's about like these small little battles, these small achievements, everybody kind of collectively working together,
Mm-hmm.
scaling up, getting to this point. You steal the Death Star plans, you make the attack run, boom, you blow up the Death Star, but there's still work to be done even after that point to dismantle the Empire and everything. It's it's about the progress. It's about the monumental but small battles that take place to build and build and build, kind of
Mm-hmm.
the snowball effect. And I think it definitely ties in with one battle after another here. Who knew that Andor would be so closely related to this? So yeah, I mean, this movie definitely touches on another theme of immigration. That's definitely prevalent here in the movie, and like we alluded to at the start of the movie or the start of the show, it kicks off with the whole immigrate
Mm-hmm.
or immigration detention center heist, basically, and the theme of immigration, I think, continues throughout the movie too. It's not as heavy
Mm-hmm.
as what we just talked about with revolutions and political extremism, but it's still present and I think very relevant here. Benicio del Toro's character, Sensei Sergo, um, he was basically running an underground immigration operation in his community, and I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was just so fun, such a fun sequence too. To just like kind of go through his house. You got the kind of the steady cam. It feels like a one shot experience of just going from
Mm-hmm.
his store upstairs and then downstairs and all this other stuff. It was just a lot of fun. But he's running this whole immigration operation, and these are families who just want to live happy lives in the U.S. They're not here to cause trouble or
Mm-hmm.
chaos. It's literally just parents who are bringing their kids here to raise them and achieve like better livelihoods for their families. And I I thought that was such a great element to add into this movie here.
Yeah, I loved it. Like he calls it, Sergio calls it a Latino Harriet Tubman situation, which I thought was great. And he, it's funny too because he invites Bob over to his place, and then we get there, and it's this like massive compound
Yeah.
where he has multiple units of people living in there, in behind a store, and it's he has a whole operation going. It's great. And then also, but on the immigration thing, like one obvious way where it plays a role is Lockjaw and how he uses his military role and his border enforcement role like for personal ends. Like he
Mm-hmm.
is using immigration crackdowns and like these raids on places where allegedly undocumented migrants are working, um, like to mask his personal vendetta that he's trying to carry
Mm-hmm.
out, right? And it's kind of similar to like what the Trump administration is doing right now, where they're going after Democrat-run cities where there's war,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just using like a bunch of bullshit to justify rounding up people who've done nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this idea of like using claiming something is dangerous as a smokescreen for something else. And just for the record on immigration, since this movie talks about immigration,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you're like, well, they've done nothing wrong, they came here illegally. Undocumented migration is a civil violation of the law.
Yes.
So yes, and technically they did something wrong. In the same way that, if you accidentally ran a red light, it's about, legally speaking, very similar in severity
Oh yeah.
to that. So just keep that, like, if you're listening, keep that in mind when you see what ICE, bunch of jackbooted Nazi thugs who won't show their face in public, are doing to migrants and people they suspect of being migrants. Imagine, like, if you ran a stop sign and a cop started beating the shit out of you for it. You think that's acceptable? I don't think that's acceptable.
Hell no.
And if you do, like, you're a bit of a psychopath if you think that's acceptable,
Mm-hmm. Yep. It feels like a pretty easy thing to understand. But yeah, speaking of Lockjaw,
psychopaths.
Yeah, psychopaths.
Lockjaw.
Speaking of psychopaths,
what a name! What a name too! Like, name your character Colonel Lockjaw. Isn't he? He's a colonel or something, right?
Yeah. You name your antagonist after one of the symptoms of tetanus. It's fucking nuts. Oh, what a prick! Oh my God, Sean Penn did such a phenomenal job in this role. He really knows how to act like an asshole. So kudos to Sean Penn. He did a fantastic job as Lockjaw. This guy was head to toe. What an asshole. The way he just abused his power for his own personal gain. Like, he uses his military team in such a fucking despicable way to, like, lay siege to this small town of Beckton Cross to hunt down his own biological daughter. Like, that's insane. It's like literally, like, I'm trying to think of, like, how I would have felt if in my high school prom all of a sudden the military showed up and was like, no, we need to, like, talk to all of you and find this one person. Like, it's like, what the fuck? This is such an abuse of power here. You guys should not be here. This is like this is so crazy. And the way that he uses...
underrated piece of shit in this movie too is his second in command.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who does all the interrogations and, like, threatens the kids. God, what a fucker.
Yeah. I did love that one bit where it was like, do I look like your dad? And the guy's like, yeah, you kind of do. Like, you kind of remind me of him. But yeah, the way he uses, like, one of the elements in this movie in that town, he has, like, his undercover agents like start a riot. Basically, he's like, okay, go ahead, go for it, and they radio it in, and the guy just, like, walks out of the car.
Oh yeah,
he's, like, wearing a mask, he looks like a protester, and he lights a, like, Molotov cocktail and just throws it, and it's like, okay, that's the signal. That's giving your troops basically the permission to escalate the violence.
False flag.
Yeah, false flag.
It's a false flag. It's a false flag thing, which, I mean, like, going back to real life, but also Andor, like, that's what they do at the massacre,
Right.
But yeah, that's the case in a lot of these. Like, it was the case for Black Lives Matter and the marches to protect immigrants and stuff like that. The anti-ICE protests, like, when they get violent, it's always the fucking cops that do it. Like, it's always them who start. It's just like, people are marching or standing peacefully, and then cops attack them, and then they fight back. Oh, wow. What did you think was going to happen when you did that? And this is a more extreme version of that, obviously. It's like pretending to be a protester to spark the outrage. Eddington touches on some of that stuff as well. I watched that pretty recently, but yeah, that is so insidious. Just having like a tactical unit ready to pose as a protester and start violence. It's just like, oh God, it's so gross.
It's despicable. It's so gross. And, like, when I was driving home from the movie, I was kind of, like, on the fence about Lockjaw's end, because he gets two death scenes basically in this movie. He gets shotgunned in the face, and then he gets gassed later by the Christmas adventurers. It's pretty fucking brutal, both of them. And when I was driving home, I was on the fence about like, well, did he really need 2 death scenes? And I think I've landed on the decision that yes, he did. I think it's a very fitting end for him because he's been. Here's the case for it, because he's been so adamant about getting into this super secret racist club, and he's worked so hard for so
Mm-hmm.
long to climb the ranks in the military. He's like followed orders, he's made a name for himself,
Mm-hmm.
serving the military, and most likely doing what he's doing the bidding of white supremacists for some time. He works at a border detention
Yes.
center, and he's like, making those decisions there. um, he ultimately gets killed by the very people he wants to fraternize with, the people that he wants to be friends
Mm-hmm.
with and be in a group with. It's like he has this life of dedication and service to these people, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That leads him to a very quiet and unceremonious ending. And I'm pretty happy
Mm-hmm.
about it. Like his body's basically cremated by the end, so no one knows that he's dead. And it's like, oh my god, you wasted your life.
Yeah. Well, because it's true. That's the case for like we talked about it last episode with how fascism will eventually come for you as well, no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but it's also like it kind of reminds me of the way Donald Trump treats all the people who like work for him and under him, right? Like he treats them like well-ish while they're useful, and then immediately when they become an inconvenience, he just casts them aside and he doesn't kill them yet, but he, reputation wise, he kind of makes them non-viable.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rudy Giuliani is selling shitty coffee on his podcast to try to like stay afloat right now. That's not a joke that he's doing that. That's where the former mayor of New York just ended up.
Yeah, well, he deserves it.
He does deserve it. He deserves that misfortune. But I like on the Rudy Giuliani note too, because this is true for a lot of these goons in the Trump administration, but it's true for Lockjaw. It's like just a like goofy doofus.
Yeah.
Like he's such a twerp. Like he's cold and evil. When he's in his like military fatigues, especially, that's when he's scary. But then he puts on that like fuck ass blazer and he walks around in his weird way and he just looks perpetually out of place. And it's so funny. And then when he's walking into that meeting, he licks the comb and then combs his little tuft of hair.
That's so gross. He's so gross.
It's he's so pathetic. And he's just so pathetic, but he uses his authority to like get himself into relationships and places he thinks he deserves.
Yes.
And ultimately, like you're saying, one of those places just is like, fuck this guy and kills him. And I think that should lead us into the group themselves, the Christmas Adventurers.
Yes.
Which absurd concept. It's like they meet in a big basement. They're a bunch of white supremacists who say all hail Saint Nick. That's they worship Santa Claus, but in a Nazi way.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I love how comically large that basement structure is.
Yeah.
Too. It's like he goes into that house and he walks for ages into this little room where he meets with just a handful of people.
Oh, it is absurd. That's the right word for it. And it's kind of like to a lesser extent, like a version of the Freemasons, but it's probably more or maybe a little equally racist as the Freemasons were back in the day. But it's a funny concept that, these guys are sitting around and calling these kinds of shots, I suppose. It's so weird.
Yeah, because one of them is like in the government in some capacity, but I think like as absurd as it is, it does a great job of illustrating how white supremacy masks itself behind like polite faces who work in corner offices and have nice houses, because it's just and they come off as like mild mannered like rich guys, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not mild-mannered, unassuming rich guys. But they're not.
Yeah.
They're really insidious, and that's the case in the real world as well. Like they mask their bigotry well.
Yeah, it's frightening. It's disgustingly frightening. And the whole time in the movie, I was just thinking to myself, like, do these kinds of groups exist in America? Like, they probably do to a certain extent, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's fucking frightening how puritanical they were and how just like I was like you
Mm-hmm.
probably heard me when we were watching the movie. I was gasping at like every other line that they were throwing out because it was just they were just so casual about the racism.
So
It's
racist.
just, oh my god, I don't even
Mm-hmm.
want to repeat any of the lines because it's so fucked up. Like I was just genuinely shocked by everything they said.
Yeah. But you're right, the way they talked about it, they said the most racist things like they were just talking shop.
Hmm.
Like they were, and it's fitting that at the end they all meet him in an office building because they're talking about it like it's business. Like it's just like they're in a conference call.
Hmm.
That's how casually they treat their racism and how much import they give it as well.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
it's very like it's alarming to them that Lockjaw may have had sex with a black woman.
hmm
Like they're genuinely concerned that they let this person in, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
oh.
it's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
I got the feeling that I'm going to sneeze, but I just can't right now. It's not coming. But yeah, and like this movie's so well executed that like I really don't have a lot to
Mm-hmm.
complain about. There's not really anything that really
Mm-hmm.
jumped out at me as like weird, but there was like one small thing, and this is very very
Mm-hmm.
minor too. Um, so Willa's kidnapped. They find her, and then Lockjaw basically tells his bounty hunter, like, go kill her, basically. But
Mm-hmm.
the bounty hunter he's got kind of this whole thing. He's like, I won't kill kids. That's not something I do. So he just agrees to deliver her to some mercenaries, basically. He ends
Mm-hmm.
up, after he delivers her, he ends up saving her, going back and killing the mercenaries, and he dies in the process,
Yep.
saving her.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I like that whole sequence. I just feel that it was a little bit of an abrupt change and that there wasn't enough setup for his change there.
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there should have just been something there to really kind of convince, or something just a little bit more convincing than just like, I don't kill kids, but I do this all the time, and I work with these
Mm-hmm.
guys all the time and I give them shit to do all the time and I kill people all the time. But here's where
Yeah.
I'm finally drawing the line for Willa right now at the end here. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a little bit more setup for that, but that's really the only thing in this movie that I can find anything to complain about.
Yeah, I get that. For me, I didn't have a problem with it as much because it like he Lockjaw convinces him to deliver her. It's like, well, you're not killing her, you're just delivering her to people that kill her. And I think
Right.
in that moment he was probably like, well, that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? And maybe he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna stick to my code. But I hear you. I have one small complaint, to not a complaint, but something that I was thinking in the movie. It's like, how did at the end when they're on the highway
Mm-hmm.
and the Christmas adventurer guy is chasing
Oh
Willa,
yeah.
how did he know who she was and where she was? Like
Yeah.
I don't think he ever is exposed to that information unless he recognized the bounty hunter's car. Maybe it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
it was one thing that I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that part was a little weird. Like I know that I think you mentioned earlier in the movie that he'd worked with that bounty hunter before, so maybe he did recognize the car, but like
Oh, you're probably
it's
right.
also like
Mm-hmm.
what's the point? You killed Lockjaw, so why do you need to kill the daughter too? But I don't know. It gets I'm not going to try and dissect the uh crazy ramblings of a bunch of white supremacists. So
Yeah. Well, and also it's like it's a minor thing because ultimately the sequence in the movie as a whole works, regardless of how it's a sweater boy like found out where Willow was. It doesn't really matter. But speaking
True.
of that, like I think the movie has some really good action, and I thought what was fun about it was we are following a physically ill-equipped protagonist. It's a very fun element for me that Bob is clearly past his revolutionary prime, and he never really even seemed to be more like one of the physical frontline fighters anyway. Like he was a bomb maker.
Yeah.
He made the explosives. Um, and like he's barely keeping up with the other characters. Like that one scene where they're running away from Sensei's operation. They're all the guys parkouring, and then Bob like stumbles around and he fucks up and falls off the roof. It's so funny.
Oh, it's so
The
great.
guy calls Sensei, and he's like, "Sensei, your guy fell off the roof." It's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Yeah, he fell like 40 feet. He didn't make it." Like, he fell off the roof and he got arrested.
Oh, I love that. And it's just like, you're totally right. Bob's such a fun protagonist, especially since he's like in that sequence too. He's just like stumbling around for 30 minutes trying to charge his phone, and that's the only thing he's trying to do. Everyone else is doing important shit, like packing up their operation. He's just like, "Where can I plug it in? Where can I plug it in?" Like it's so good.
It's like, "Over here, Bob."
Yeah, like you can plug it in over here.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a great.
Oh, it's so great. Another note too that we didn't write down, but like the fact that he's so paranoid and yet he constantly smokes weed, which is known for making you paranoid sometimes.
The character is so great.
Good shit.
And I just love how like he was at one time as a revolutionary, Bob was so thoroughly prepared for the government to ambush him, for them to like come in and like take him away. Like he was so prepared at any time. He had like a tunnel, he had like memorized codes, he had like a to-go bag, like all packed. Like, but when the time finally comes, when it's finally arrives, he's just inept. He can't do anything. Like he's like, focus, don't panic, focus. You got this. You had a plan. What was it? Like, he can't think of it.
Yeah. Well, and I love too when he calls in from the payphone. He forgot that he remembers some of the passcodes, but he can't remember all of them. And he's getting mad at the revolutionary because the newer revolutionary is like they never say like too woke specifically, but you get a sense from Bob's character that he's like kind of a boomer in a lot of ways and doesn't really get a lot of current like progressive politics, but he's still a revolutionary, so he's trying. But he's like giving that guy shit where he's like, quit fucking whining. What are you doing? What do you mean about your safe space? What
is this?
Like, what happened to y'all?
Yeah. You guys went soft.
And then the codes are a very important part of the revolution. How did you manage to forget them? It's so funny.
Yeah. It's great. And like by the time like he's trying to find his daughter, he's trying to save her, but he's just like he's so out of his element. Like he's running around in the desert in his bathrobe still, and he's trying to snipe Sean Penn's character with a hunting rifle, and it's like, you probably haven't held a gun in 15 years at least. Like it's so funny. Like he's so out of his depth and out of his element here. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I also just want to touch on Benicio del Toro a little bit. Like he's so funny in this, and it's great because he's sort of just like tangentially involved in the main thrust of the plot just because he knows Bob and Willa. Like he's the martial arts instructor in town, but he's committed to social justice in his own way, and so he just like fully commits to helping Bob out without hesitation. Like he says, like, no fear, like Tom fucking Cruise.
Yeah.
And he like when they're driving, he makes sure to like bring a 6-pack of beer. And I love like at the end when he gets pulled over by the cops, they're like, "Have you been drinking today, sir?" He's like, "Oh, I've had a few." I'm like, "Few what?" "Few small beers." I love that phrase.
He's so
just
casual.
The way he says "a few small beers" is so funny. Oh shit. Everything's good. I knocked something off the table. But the way he says like, few few small beers.
It's so great. And I love his little dance too, the way he's like backing up and
Yeah.
clasps his hands. It's so cute. It's so great.
Yeah. Well, and he just like does that as a different. And the only reason he gets caught is it's because they're driving by a cop when Bob takes a sip of beer and he's
Yeah.
not discreet about it, and the cop sees it.
Yeah. It's like,
And then he has to keep driving so Bob can get away. But shifting gears, I wanna talk a little bit about Perfidia, and just like revolution and survival. I think because I think she's such an interesting character, mainly only around for the beginning of the movie, and then her legacy kind of looms over the rest of it. But it seems like she was either a or the leading figure of this movement, right? And she remains committed to action long after Bob shifts his focus to like raising Willa, right? And then she's the one who ends up getting captured, and she does play a role in the movement sort of being forced to go to ground, and a lot of them getting killed because she's forced to provide details on them, like, and to the point where like Regina Hall's character and the other survivors, like, they see her as a rat, as trouble, and that's a big turnaround. However, like, what I think is interesting is I don't think the movie has any interest in condemning her by the end, right? I think it's like she believed in this shit. She was put in a really terrible situation, and she made some mistakes that betrayed the cause, and then she couldn't reconcile like who she is at heart with continuing to do that, and like finds a way out of the situation. I just think that's such an interesting portrayal of this type of character, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree because I feel like that she was caught in between worlds in a lot of ways. You know, she was kind of torn between the revolutionary lifestyle, but then also kind of appeasing Lockjaw at the start. You know, she didn't want to like. So there's that element, but then yeah, by when she gets caught and everything, and she has to leave the country, it's like that must be such a horrible experience for anyone who's ever had to like do anything like that and just like abandon your life and have to go start an entirely new one somewhere else. It's like that's starting from ground zero. That's incredibly challenging. I could imagine you're just filled up with so much love and grief, and it's it's a very complex character, and she didn't get a lot of screen time.
Yeah. But I want to talk about the ending sequence too. It was kind of memed on in the marketing because everybody's like, why are they just like making posters of this fucking road? Like, is the road a major character or something? And it's like, and then after everyone saw the movie, it's like, you know what? I love that road. That's the coolest road ever.
Yes.
But it's such a it's such a like a sequence with incredible tension and just great filmmaking. I love leaning into like something we all experience on long road trips, especially in like those desert parts of the country. We're just going over the hill and under the hill, over, under, and like the entire time. And you're like, things are coming in and out of sight. I've also heard that the sequence in IMAX is amazing, but I like, one thing I like about it is, you know, when you're driving for those long stretches, there are often like other cars that are around you for that long period of time. You know, you're on the interstate, there's someone else there, and it's like, they never are, but you're always like, are they like following me? Are they speeding up? Are they being aggressive because like they think I'm too slow or something like that? So I feel like it kind of, it leaned into that feeling a little bit and just heightened it because we know that this guy is out to get her. And I don't know, that sensation just really, really worked for me. And it keeps you on the edge of your seat even after the main conflict is resolved, when Bob and Willa reunite, because like, it's possible she's too traumatized to fully recognize and trust him without the codes, which we already know he doesn't remember.
Yeah.
And so there's that moment where it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Don't shoot your dad. Don't shoot
Y'all
your
are
dad.
good. Come on.
It's such a fantastic sequence.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dylan.
Yeah. I also love that Willa gets herself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Bob does not contribute really all that much
Agreed.
to saving her. She has a smart idea, and she like destroys that man in a very satisfying way. But yeah, good shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to touch on, like, just to close it out, like, oh, go ahead. You have a
No, no, no. I was agreeing with you. Yeah,
oh,
yeah, because like it just goes back to Leo. He's just so inept running around in his bathrobe, and like there's a part of you that's thinking like, oh, he's gonna catch up, he's
mhm,
gonna catch up, but he's always like 2 steps behind of helping Willa, and he's going after the wrong cars and everything, and it's just like, oh God, no, it just
mhm,
keeps getting worse and worse. So I'm glad that she
yeah.
was the one to kind of yeah get away.
Yeah. I also love how it ends with Willa being the one to, like, go out and engage in political activism going forward. Like, she's also teaching Bob how to use a cell phone, which is cute, but also means maybe whatever she's engaged in is a little bit less clandestine than the French 75 was in her parents' era. But I think it shows too that, like, her parents' revolutionary actions inspired her to sort of take up the mantle and do it in her own way with her own voice. And I think it just, it is one battle after another, but progress is made on the small scale a little bit with them.
Yeah.
She's engaged and fully active in whatever her movement is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's different
Um
actions of revolution too. Like some of it is freeing people from a detention center, I suppose, and some of it is, going to a
mhm.
protest and participating there. It didn't sound like that's what she was going to. It sounded like it was something a little more tumultuous. But there's different things, different ways to
Mm.
inspire change and create change. And yeah, I really liked that ending too. And Leo's just on his phone fucking around, and it's, it is sweet ultimately.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting in terms of, like, I think we've talked about this on certain things before, but, like, the scale of systemically changing things, like what the power that the people in the Christmas adventures hold, like, that's beyond Bob and Willa,
Yes.
um everything that like Lockjaw's fate. Lockjaw is first shot by one of the Christmas adventurers and presumed dead.
Hmm.
And then he's ultimately killed by the Christmas adventurers. They are operating, like, in a different realm than Bob and Willa are. Like,
Yes.
we're following regular people up against, like, systemic giants, basically, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And those plot lines barely, they intersect very briefly, but
Yeah. Very briefly.
mhm. All right, but any final thoughts on one battle after
Well,
another?
I would definitely recommend it. I think this is a fantastic movie, and like we said at the top, I think it's timeless, but it's also relevant to what we're experiencing in America right now. So I would definitely recommend
Mm.
everyone go see it. But what about you? Any final thoughts before we move on to other stuff?
No, not really. I thought it was excellent. I'd recommend it pretty much across the board. I think anyone would have a good time at the movies with this one. But that being said, let's transition into some other stuff. Niles, what have you been watching, reading, playing, etc., etc.?
So I finished Alien Earth, the TV show. It's pretty amazing. It didn't end how I was expecting it to, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm really satisfied with how everything went down. And yeah, I did not guess that that's where the sec would end up as well. That was a surprise to me. I don't want to spoil anything with it though, for anybody. But yeah, it's a phenomenal show, and because I had a little bit of an alien gap in my life after finishing the show, I wanted more. I never saw Covenant, so I
Mm-hmm.
went back and watched Covenant finally, and it's all right. I think in terms of the alien movies I've seen, it's probably my least favorite one out of all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still a good story, and it was interesting to see where
Okay.
they picked up from Prometheus. And I still like Prometheus a lot. I think it's underrated and it's an
Mm-hmm.
amazing movie. But now I know what happened to Elizabeth Shaw and David after everything went down with the Prometheus crew. And
Yeah.
whew, that's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
uh, David's one fucked up android. Um, and the other
I
thing,
know.
yeah, the other thing for me, just basically plowed through it over the weekend. I watched all of Marvel Zombies. Um, I mean, it's a quick little show, but I think it's a lot of fun. There's lots of cool ideas in there with like all the different Marvel characters and how they interact with each other, and navigate this world full of zombies. And I don't think the writing's amazing, but I really like how all the characters interact with each other and the actual like um, uh, you know super powered fucking zombies fighting each other is pretty fucking neat too. So,
Mm-hmm.
what about you, Dylan? What have you been up to?
I finished The Man in the High Castle.
Oh,
I thought it was a excellent book. I I want to do some reading up on the ending itself because I think there's a lot going on there that I didn't really pick up on,
mm,
and I'm interested to learn more about the book. Because it's a very interesting ending, and it's not at all what I expected it to be. And yeah, I just have a lot of questions.
I did.
You've read it before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I read it too, and I had a lot of questions by the end as well. So yeah, it's because he was planning to
Mm-hmm.
like do another book after that one, but he didn't get around to that. Yeah,
Oh,
but I don't know what the sequel
got it.
plans
Okay,
were.
that makes
I,
sense
I've I
then.
have no idea where they were going with it, but yeah, I think that's why some things are left kind of unanswered and up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting to know. But I also, like you, I finished Alien Earth, I guess first season. I don't know why I just assumed it would be like a one season show. I guess I've been like conditioned to that with a lot of these streaming shows, but it's like, oh, it's just a genuine cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger like in TV, like what always
Yeah.
happens in TV. And so I'm interested to see where that
Me
goes.
too. Me too.
Yeah, I expected a lot more carnage than what ended up happening. So that's
Yeah.
very intriguing. Um, Also, I'm also caught up on Gen V, the
Mm.
boys spin-off show. Um, I like it. I like Gen V. I think it's fun. Um, Only Murders in the Building back for another season. Love that. Always have fun with it every year. And yeah, they always have fun actors come in this season. Christoph Waltz is in there
Oh.
as one of the suspects, which is kind of fun. Yeah. Uh, Also been working through a replay of Cyberpunk 2077 with the expansion included. So the expansion adds a character played by Idris Elba
Mm.
into the storyline, which is a lot of fun. So I've just gotten to the point where I meet him. He's like a sleeper agent for the president of the new United States.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the DLC story is like the president crash lands in Night City, and you, I guess, have to protect her or not protect her. I don't know yet.
Mm.
I've also been playing a little game called Peak. It is just a co-op game. It's a roguelite, and you climb. You have a little stamina bar, and you have to like find your way up a mountain with your friends, and it's really derpy and fun. I like it a lot. I
That sounds like
really have
fun.
been enjoying playing it. And then it is a lot of fun. It's a good co-op experience. Um, and then the last thing is I have started reading the comic that inspired the Hawkeye show, Hawkeye: My Life as a Weapon. I've
Mm.
read the first two issues so far. It's great. I love it. I'm recognizing a lot of things that made their way into the show, and it's a fun read. I've never read a Hawkeye comic before, but I like this one a lot. And
That's really
that
cool.
is about it. And that is gonna do it for us this week. We'll be back. We got some like real life stuff coming up, so we'll probably be back in 2 weeks. Maybe it'll be 3, but you will see us soon. But until then, Niles, where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles. What about you, Dylan? Where can people follow you online?
On Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at D-Day Movies, on YouTube at D-Day Movies. You can find both of us here at Play Pause Rewind, both on YouTube and your podcast platform of choice. You can also find us on our second channel, Play Pause Rewind Videos. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.